Joe Rogan is there talking about the ease with which you can convince kids to believe in things. And then you see day after day after day, if you're on the internet or if you've seen social media, where these people who are in the classroom are bragging about how they are advocating behind their parents' back about what they're influencing children on, really against a lot of parents' wills, and how would they even know? In the state of Illinois, I talked about this yesterday, Illinois House Bill 4876 amends the Abused and Neglected Child Reporting Act and provides that abused child means a child whose parent or immediate family member or any person responsible for the child's welfare or any individual residing in the same home as the child or a paramour of the child's parent denies the child access to necessary medical care, including but not limited to primary care services, abortion services, or gender-affirming services. In Illinois, the Illinois House wants to make it if you deny them gender-affirming care, you will now be guilty of neglect and abuse to that child. Tyrus joins us. He's a regular on Gutfeld, Fox News contributor, and his latest show on Fox Nation, Tyrus Here and Now. Check out that stand-up special. Welcome back to the show, Tyrus. We appreciate you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
What do you think about what you take in? However, I know that you try to limit your social media exposure, but you can't avoid some of these teachers who are using the classroom to influence, maybe say groom children to be a certain type of lifestyle or expose them to a lifestyle outside of the knowledge of the parents.
Well, I mean, there's two. Obviously, there's homeschool, which I think we need to look about expanding in the private sector to where groups, families, and neighborhoods can work together with maybe a private teacher opposed to a public teacher. Give teachers opportunities to earn some real paychecks and do some real good in the classroom, which as a teacher, that is, I would say 99% of teachers' goals. The problem is that parents, we have to be vigilant. We just can't assume school is a safe place. You just can't assume that it was the school that you used to go to, because it's not anymore. So you have to be vigilant. You got to go to the opening night and meet the teacher before your class, before you leave your little darling to start going to school, because that'll be a big thing. The first day you meet them, impressions are everything. And if you don't feel good about it, then at least at that point as a parent, you can do something about it. But you got to make the time to make sure you're at all those school meetings and be those teachers' worst nightmares if their curriculum is not school approved or their personal life. It's just amazing to me. No teachers were never did talk about their personal life. It was rare. I think I was maybe like a shock when you met your teacher's husband or wife.
Never even considered that they'd have a husband.
It just wasn't there. You just didn't know that stuff, and so it's just amazing to me that why you're there to teach, which means you're supposed to take knowledge and transfer it to our kids, not supposed to, if you want to write an autobiography, then do that and see if people want to buy it. But, putting your personal beliefs and feelings on children to make yourself feel better, it goes back to that thing again. America has been afraid of a small, loud mob, and we need to remember that they're small. There's no 90% of the stuff, the facts they kick are completely made up. So we just need to be vigilant and stay on top of it. And if there's enough of us together, it's a lot easier to get things done. So as communities, we have to be communities again. We have to look out for each other.
Yeah. And I think that building those communities, maybe it's in, as you said, like a homeschool co-op of sorts. I'm a huge advocate for parochial education. If a faith life is something that is important to a parent to find an alternative, affordable option outside of public school, I really wonder if the pendulum can swing further to, I guess, the woke left on this issue. I feel like, and I hate to even manifest this into existence by saying it out loud, but how can it get worse than it is right now? You would think that the pendulum would have to start coming back to the middle.
I think it is, because I think enough people are starting to get affected who care more about truth than necessarily their payday. We're seeing, I've always kind of been on the front line against this, but when you see the Joe Rogans, the Elon Musks, you're seeing more and more actors that are starting to say, you know what, for a long time I stayed quiet because I was afraid of how it would affect my wallet. And now they're saying, you know what, there are some things more important than my wallet. So we're seeing that. And again, it just goes back to where when it starts affecting enough people, people start paying attention to the real stuff, and we won't get sidetracked with all the stuff they throw at us to distract us. So I think it's starting to pull back, because also another thing is, whenever you have a plan over time, I'm sure the woke in the beginning thought this was going to, the buildings and the CEOs and the companies that got behind this thought it was going to be huge for them, and now the bottom line's coming in, and they've lost money, ruined careers, destroyed reputations. So now you might see them all of a sudden this revolt. But we as consumers need to remember the only reason why that they are doing this change is not because they hear our message, it's because we hurt their wallets. Mm-hmm. And so that's why, I still, everyone wants to, the Bud Light thing. I'm sorry, you had a man with woman face on making fun of women. I think you need to do better than give a couple of people commercial deals. Yeah. And 350 people that were fired need to be rehired. And there needs to be an apology to women. I think you can't just say, oops, sorry, we're going to do it this way. I think that because that shows the line being drawn. There has to be a line when it comes to what you want to do in the privacy of your own home. I have no issue with, but I don't. That's why I live in my own home. I don't live in somebody else's home, so I have to watch what they do or have their belief systems pushed on me. So there's no reason. And the school is the same thing. Like, you're not there to push your stuff on people. You're there to educate children and get them ready for the world. And this stuff is not getting them ready for anything.
We're speaking with Tyrus. Of course, you see him on Gutfeld. He's a regular there. He's a Fox News contributor. He also has his latest book out called Nuff Said. Be sure to pick that up and read it. You will very much so enjoy it. I understand that you have spent, from reading your first book, Just Tyrus, that you are an educator and you understand what it's like to be in a classroom, and especially to be around impressionable kids. And you've had quite a story, which I encourage people to check out your first book so that they can learn about where you come from. But you understand a classroom environment, and you understand how, in some cases, these kids are looking for someone to guide them, to care for them. And that is a situation that is ripe for someone to take advantage of those kids.
There's a great responsibility there. When you're working with children, and if you break through them, and like I said, I was working with some of the level 14 kids who had a lot of issues, a lot of delays, a lot of behavior management issues. But to reach them, there's always a line because it's hard. We're all human, and it's hard not to get attached to kids when you're teaching, especially younger kids, and then you see them the light bulb starts to turn on and stuff, and their successes is your successes as a teacher. But this excitement should be about watching the student grow, not conforming them to be like you. I would, as a teacher, I would never even think about that. You need to lead by example, and pushing my own beliefs and stuff, like making the whole class New England Patriots fans, or you're going to get a F on the paper. If I did something like that, it would be a huge, big deal. And all I'm asking to do is change their favorite team. So it's just about principalities right now in this country.
Yeah, and it really does take people who are going to stand up, but also walk away from industries. Like there is a woke industrial complex, and I think about how this whole movement really started with businesses or corporations or maybe public entities being scared into trying to be more inclusive in a way that was punitive to other. Like, you couldn't be inclusive without being exclusive, and then the people descend upon it. Black Lives Matter is an industry that comes to mind, because what they didn't really end up helping the Black lives that supported that effort that took place in 2020.
Yeah. But the thing is sometimes I say scared. No, I think they saw an incredible opportunity to be able to do whatever they want to do, as long as they make a couple of woke activists rich, and they spend a little bit of money and do an ad campaign for them, which is nothing for them. And they get all these virtue signaling points. Oh, look what we've done for this. But the act is just the discussion of the deed. It's like they just saying they're doing something. So that's good enough. And they have a celebrity to back them up, so it's legitimate, even though they're doing nothing for their frontline workers or not doing anything about their working conditions or raises. they're spending a $1 million on here and there on some ad campaigns with some thirsty actors who will say anything if the money's right. I mean, that's the business. So, so I mean, that's the ugliness of it all. So I think, and a lot of times Americans will just kind of let water roll off their back, and I think it was the fact that finally everyone started, especially men, started speaking up. I think that was the biggest thing. Turns out all the feminists in the world are actually alpha toxic males like myself, because we're the ones going, wait a minute, I don't, I don't, for me to be like, my daughters and my wife have no idea what March Madness is. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. And actually, and that's a great time for women's basketball. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just, their tournament is just as exciting, and everyone's still talking about LSU and
Caitlin Clark, Iowa.
Caitlin Clark, yeah, So, I mean, but in those instances, we all think of the other side of it. So we have to start, and we have to stick a hard stand for that. You can't just be, when it's right for my side, that you have to take a stand. We have to take a stand, So,
well,
I won't let that stuff go. So
you've absolutely done that, and you're doing it all across the country. And I had to fact check this while we were discussing here. But Anthony on our YouTube channel said Tyrus is going to be in Farmington in May, and I checked it, and it looks like, is it May 20th? You're going to be in Farmington, Missouri, and it says limited tickets available. And that's within our listening area, so I want to encourage people to go get your tickets.
It's also within driving distance to Pappy's as well.
Yeah. So. Well, you make sure you contact us if you're around noon to 3. We'll make room for you.
I will always contact you guys. So, but yeah, I'm excited. Monday, it's
May 20th.
May 20th.
Yep.
7:30. I'm excited to be back.
That sounds great. Tyrus, thanks for being with us. We always appreciate you.
Always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon.